My name is Sarah Vance. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a senior financial analyst. The moment I saw the email, my gut tightened. It wasn't the final wedding invitation, which I'd been expecting for weeks, but a logistics update for VIP guests from Chloe's wedding planner. My name wasn't on the recipient list. Instead, it was addressed to a select group of Chloe's new influencer friends and some distant cousins I barely knew. I scrolled down, my eyes scanning for any mention of the primary financial contributor, the person who had written a six-figure check to make this entire Enchanted Forest fantasy wedding possible. Nothing. Not even a passing reference to the sister of the bride. I stared at the screen, a cold knot forming in my stomach, a familiar metallic taste rising in my throat. My sister, Chloe, had just effectively erased me from her own wedding, a wedding I had paid $100,000 for. What she didn't realize was that when you cut off the branch, the fruit often falls a lot harder than you expect. This wasn't just about an invitation, it was about every boundary she'd ever crossed, and this time, she'd gone too far. To understand why I even considered paying for Chloe's wedding, you need to know our history. Chloe is 6 years younger than me, 32 now, and has always been the creative spirit of the family. While I was crunching numbers and saving for a down payment, Chloe was chasing various artistic endeavors, none of which ever quite paid the bills. Our parents, bless their hearts, always indulged her, seeing her free spirit as something precious, while my practicality was just expected. I loved my sister, truly, but our relationship was often defined by her needs and my willingness to fulfill them. Chloe met Mark, her fiancé, about 2 years ago. He seemed like a decent guy, stable, a software engineer. When they got engaged, Chloe immediately launched into her dream wedding vision. It wasn't just a wedding, it was a production, a social media spectacle. She wanted an outdoor ceremony at the historic Oakhaven estate, a custom-designed gown, a live string quartet, and an Enchanted Forest theme complete with real trees brought in, elaborate floral installations, and twinkling lights. The budget she outlined was astronomical, easily 6 figures. Mark, bless his practical heart, looked terrified. Chloe, however, looked at me. Sarah, she'd said during a family dinner, her eyes wide and earnest, you're so good with money. You've made such smart investments. This is my one chance for a truly magical day. Mark and I we can't do it justice on our own. My parents chimed in, Sarah, you've always been so generous. Chloe deserves this. The unspoken expectation hung heavy in the air. I had recently sold some stock options that had done incredibly well, giving me a significant windfall. I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. I knew she couldn't afford it, and I wanted her to be happy. So, after a long internal debate, I agreed. I told her I would contribute $100,000, specifically earmarked for the venue, catering, and the elaborate floral decor she was so obsessed with. I transferred the funds directly to the wedding planner, Eleanor, in 2 installments over the next month, making sure there was a clear paper trail. I thought I was buying her happiness, a peace of mind. I was wrong. The first hint of trouble came when we were discussing the guest list. Chloe had commissioned these incredibly elaborate, custom-designed invitations, thick cardstock, gold foil, a hand-painted forest motif. They were beautiful, and expensive, costing nearly $5,000 for 150 invitations. I had offered to help with the addresses, as my handwriting is much better than Chloe's frantic scrawl. She waved me off. Oh, no, Sarah, I've got it. It's a very specific list. I didn't think much of it then, assuming she just wanted to handle the glamorous part herself. What I didn't understand yet was that the guest list was her first act of gatekeeping. As the months wore on, Chloe became increasingly absorbed in her wedding bubble, and increasingly distant from me. Our conversations revolved solely around her choices. If I offered an opinion on the menu or suggested a slightly more budget-friendly floral option for one area, she'd dismiss me with a saccharine smile. Oh, Sarah, you just don't understand my vision. It has to be perfect. Eleanor, the wedding planner, became my primary point of contact for updates, often calling me to confirm payments for things Chloe had approved, or to ask if I wanted to be included in certain vendor meetings. Each time, I'd say yes, only for Chloe to later tell me the meeting had been rescheduled or was just a quick chat she handled. It was a subtle but persistent pattern of exclusion. A month before the wedding, I was at my parents' house, helping my mom sort through some old photos. Chloe was there, glued to her phone, scrolling through potential Instagram captions for her wedding countdown posts. My mom mentioned she hadn't received her formal invitation yet. Chloe barely looked up. "Oh, Mom, don't worry, you're on the list. I just sent out the final batch of the custom ones. Some people got the digital version, for efficiency." My mom, ever trusting, just nodded. But I knew Chloe had spent a fortune on those physical invitations. It struck me as odd that our own parents, who had also contributed a smaller sum, weren't getting the special treatment. That detail mattered later. Then came the logistics update for VIP guests' email. It wasn't just that my name wasn't on it, it was who was on it. People Chloe had known for a few months, online acquaintances, distant relatives who were more about appearance than relationship. My blood ran cold. I immediately checked my own email for an invitation. Nothing. I checked my spam folder. Nothing. I even searched Chloe's name and wedding invitation in my inbox. Still nothing. It wasn't an oversight. It was deliberate. I was the financial backbone, the silent partner, but not a valued guest. Chloe didn't want me at the wedding, she wanted my money to be the wedding. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the tremor in my hands. This wasn't just about an invitation. This was about being used, dismissed, and then actively erased. I pulled up my banking app and scrolled through the transactions. The $50,000 transfer to Eleanor's account for the venue deposit, another $30,000 for catering, and a final $20,000 for the Enchanted Forest floral arrangements. All dated and documented. I also found the email exchanges with Eleanor, where I was explicitly listed as the primary financial contributor and sister of the bride. I had the proof. Chloe thought she could have her lavish wedding and then pretend I didn't exist. She was about to learn that numbers, unlike family loyalty, don't lie. I considered my options. I could call Chloe, yell, demand an explanation. But I knew how that would go: tears, accusations, turning it back on me. I could just let it go, swallow the insult, and skip the wedding. But $100,000 was not a small sum, and the disrespect was a chasm. No, this required a different approach. I needed to hit her where it hurt, which, for Chloe, was her image and her perfect day. I pulled up Eleanor's contact information. The next morning, I called Eleanor. Her voice was bright, full of pre-wedding cheer. "Sarah. So glad you called. Just finalizing the seating chart, wanted to confirm your +1." My voice was steady, despite the tremor inside. "Eleanor, I need to speak to you about something urgent. It's regarding my sister's wedding, and my involvement." I explained, calmly and factually, that I had not received an invitation, nor was I on the VIP logistics email list, despite being the sole funder for the primary elements of the wedding. Eleanor went quiet. I don't understand. Your name has always been on the master guest list, as the sister of the bride. Chloe must have. I'll check with her immediately." I knew Eleanor would contact Chloe, and I knew what Chloe's reaction would be. I waited an hour, then my phone rang. It was Chloe, her voice a furious hiss. "What did you do, Sarah?" "Eleanor just called me, practically in hysterics." "Why would you tell her you're not invited?" "Of course, you're invited. It was an oversight. A mistake." "A $100,000 mistake, Chloe?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "I have not received an invitation. My name was not on the VIP logistics email. And frankly, your behavior over the past few months has made it clear you want the money, but not the person who provided it. The custom invitations, the guest list, the constant exclusion. It all adds up." "That's ridiculous," she shrieked. "You're trying to ruin my wedding. You're just jealous." "Jealous of what, Chloe? Of being treated like a bank account with no face?" I paid $100,000 for your dream wedding. $100,000. And your response is to erase me from the guest list. That's not an oversight. That's a betrayal. I'll send you an invitation right now, she cried, her voice cracking. No, you won't, I said, cutting her off. It's too late for that. I've made a decision. Given that I'm not a valued guest, I'm no longer a financial contributor. I want my $100,000 back. There was a stunned silence on the other end. You can't be serious, she finally whispered. I am deadly serious. You have 48 hours to provide a plan for repayment. If I don't see concrete steps, I will be instructing Eleanor to cancel all remaining payments from my account, and I will be contacting the vendors directly to inform them of the withdrawal of funds. I will also be making it very clear why. I knew this would effectively halt the wedding, at least the lavish version she wanted. I wasn't bluffing. My financial records were impeccable. My demand was clear. Chloe didn't call me back within 48 hours. Instead, my parents called, frantic. Sarah, what are you doing? Chloe is devastated. She says you're threatening to ruin her wedding. I calmly explained everything, showing them the emails, the bank transfers, and the lack of an invitation. My dad, usually so quick to side with Chloe, looked genuinely shocked. She really did that, he murmured. My mom teared up, oh, Chloe. The next call was from Mark, Chloe's fiancé. He was apologetic, embarrassed. Sarah, I had no idea. Chloe just told me you were contributing, she never said how much. And the guest list? I thought she was just being particular. I'm so sorry. He promised to talk sense into Chloe. He was a good man, caught in the crossfire. 3 days later, I received an email from Eleanor. It was a formal notification that the Oakhaven estate booking, the catering contract, and the Enchanted Forest floral arrangements had all been cancelled. Chloe hadn't been able to come up with the money, or even a plausible repayment plan. Eleanor had been understanding, even sympathetic, stating that unforeseen circumstances had arisen. Chloe, predictably, had chosen to sacrifice the wedding rather than admit her deceit or repay me. She couldn't face the humiliation. The wedding, as Chloe had envisioned it, didn't happen. She and Mark ended up having a small, quiet ceremony at the local courthouse, with only immediate family. I was there, at Mark's insistence, though Chloe barely looked at me. There were no custom invitations, no elaborate decor, no social media spectacle. Just a simple dress and a nervous smile. The magic she had chased, the grand performance, had vanished. My $100,000 was eventually repaid, in installments from Mark's savings and a loan he took out, which he insisted on doing because he felt so guilty. Chloe never contributed a dime. Our relationship, as you can imagine, is irrevocably changed. We speak, but it's superficial, strained. The custom invitations, once a symbol of her exclusive world, now sit in a box in Eleanor's office, never sent. Sometimes I wonder if Chloe ever looks at them and sees the true cost of her ambition. I certainly do.